What's up, Ruthless Church? This is Pedro, and the post is called Conditional Me. The idea behind it is to basically help us to realize that we don't have to place conditions on ourselves. As it says in the post and the words underneath, God is unconditional being, so therefore we are unconditional being. What does that mean to be unconditional being? Well, to me, it means that we are who we are despite or in spite of conditions. There are no conditions that will make us. There are no conditions that will create us because we've already been created. As God told Jeremiah in the Hebrew Bible, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I said in the post, who did God know? God knew you as you are. Most of us don't know ourselves as we are. And because of different things that have occurred in our lives and different stories we tell ourselves, we set these conditions to allow us to be who we already are. So, for example, we'll say, well, I'll be happy when I get this, or I would be brave if I had this, or if I got this at a certain point in my life, I would have been, or could have been, or might have been. And it's very unfortunate that we do that. I'm gonna tell you a story about how unfortunate it is. I think I was probably in ninth grade or 10th grade, and I got an A on a paper. And the guy who was sitting behind me, when he saw my grade, he said, "Man, if I was light skinned, I would have gotten an A too." And at first, I thought he meant that the teacher was racist, which he might have been because the teacher said something racist in the past. But that's beside the point. The guy, the teacher still was a fair grader if he was a racist, so it didn't matter. I got an A, this kid didn't, and I said, "Well, hey man, I think that I didn't take him serious." I said, "Are you serious, man? Stop joking. What do you mean?" And he's like, "No, man, light skinned people are smarter than dark skinned people." And I was like, "What? Do you seriously believe that?" And I was like, "Man, my complexion has nothing to do with my grades." And I was like, "If you studied, you would have gotten a better grade. It's not because of that." And he was like defending it because he had already somehow that lie had gotten to him, and then he believed in that lie. I mean, of course, he must have gotten something out of it because then he could just tell himself, if I don't do good, it's because of this. But that's sad. It's sad to have that excuse. So I can't condone that in any way. But to me, there's no difference between that limit that he might have taken on from society. I don't blame him because, we get all kinds of junk that comes at us, and most of us are mentally lazy enough to just say, oh, well, everybody says this, I'm going to go with it. So I'm not going to say anything about that. But the point is, if we set those kind of conditions, then we are completely limited by those conditions. And it's no difference in my mind between him accepting that illusion or that lie and then rolling with it and someone else saying, oh, when I get this, I'll be this, or if this happens, then I'll do this. These kind of conditions that we set on ourselves are outside of our being. They're a limit to who we really are. The fact is that most of us, when we say, when I achieve this, I'll be this, all we're really saying is, I want to be happy. And for most of us, we feel like if we're happy now, we have no reason to move forward. But that's not true. There's a natural growth for every person. If we just allow ourselves to be as we are, we're going to grow, we're going to create, we're going to do a lot of things that are what we attribute to God. We're going to do those things because we were created in that image. So if you believe that. So for me, it's going to be like that for me. I can't say nothing for anybody else. But the point is, regardless, conditions do not determine who you are. So the conditions that we in should have nothing to do with our self-esteem, our self-worth. We're all of infinite value, because imagine you yourself as a human being, if you decide that you want to create something, it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be a letter, it can be just a painting, a sandwich. It doesn't matter. You put yourself into that thing that you're creating. And when you reflect on that thing that you've created, if you really given yourself to it, you're going to be like, wow, that's awesome. because you have no restrictions. You just put yourself out there. Well, God, in my understanding, puts God's self out there. God doesn't hold back. So God wasn't holding back when you were called into being. So God, being unconditional being, never holding back and giving everything to whatever God creates. I mean, I think like one piece of grass is of infinite value because the energy of God, or whatever you want to call it, saw fit to bring that grass into being. So here we are, humans, who have the opportunity to know that we've been called into being by unconditional being. And I can't say grass doesn't know it, but I don't speak grass, so I don't really know. The point is, we have this opportunity to be aware of our value and to know that it's unconditional, that we're loved unconditionally, we were created unconditionally, and the us that we really are is unconditional being. So the person that you might think you are, the person I might think I am under certain circumstances, that conditional being, even if it's the best conditions that you can imagine, million, bagillion, zillion dollars, you know, the relationship you always hope for, and all these other things like that. If you say you're happy because of those things, then there's a condition on your being. And I'm inviting you to be in that space where your being is unconditional, and that you know that you are infinite value right here, right now, wearing this old t-shirt, this ugly hat. I'm talking to myself, but I'm also talking to you, because we're one, and I want you to know what I know. We're loved. Isn't it hard to believe? It shouldn't be. We're unconditional being, coming from the source of unconditional being. So, with that being said, don't limit yourself, and don't tell yourself lies, because you can be happy now. You can be happy in the present, because everything is here now. The end, or not.